Most people think exercise means going to the gym, lifting weights, running, something strenuous, something that requires equipment and a schedule and a level of fitness they no longer feel they have. So they walk, every day, around the block, down to the shops, sometimes for 30 minutes, sometimes more, and they feel good about it. They should. They are moving. That is better than sitting still. But here is what almost nobody tells them. The way most people over 60 walk, the pace, the timing, the duration, produces almost none of the specific brain benefit they are hoping for. Almost none. The brain benefit is real, but it requires something specific, and most people are missing it entirely. My name is Jade, and today I'm going to show you exactly what that specific thing is, why it matters so profoundly after 60, and how to get the full brain benefit from a walk you are probably already taking. 10 minutes, done correctly, most days of the week. That is all it takes.
Stay with me. Before I show you what most people get wrong, I need to explain something that makes everything else make sense. Your brain has a region called the hippocampus. It is your memory center, the part responsible for forming new memories, recalling old ones, learning new things, and navigating your world. And it shrinks. Starting around the age of 60, the hippocampus loses roughly 1 to 2% of its volume every year. Every single year. Without intervention, it gets smaller. And as it gets smaller, memory gets harder, learning gets slower. The world starts to feel slightly less accessible than it used to. Think of the hippocampus like a muscle. A muscle that is never used shrinks. A muscle that is challenged consistently gets stronger, grows back. The hippocampus works the same way. And the single most powerful stimulus for growing the hippocampus back, more powerful than any supplement, more powerful than any brain training app, more consistently supported by research than almost any other intervention, is aerobic exercise. Specifically, the kind that triggers the release of a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF like fertilizer for brain cells. It promotes the growth of new neurons in the hippocampus. It strengthens existing connections. It is the biological mechanism by which exercise literally grows your brain back. Here's the problem. Not all walking triggers BDNF release. And most people are walking at a pace and in a way that produces very little of it. They are getting the cardiovascular benefit. They are getting the vitamin D if they are outside. But the specific brain benefit, the BDNF surge, is barely happening. That is what today fixes. Let me give you the evidence. Not a vague reference to studies. The specific findings. The University of British Columbia study. This is the one that changed how neuroscientists think about exercise and the brain. Researchers took older adults with mild memory complaints and divided them into two groups. One group did aerobic exercise, brisk walking, 3 times a week for 6 months. The other group did stretching and toning exercises. At the end of 6 months, they scanned everyone's brains. The aerobic group showed measurable increases in hippocampal volume. The memory center had grown, physically, on a scan. The stretching group showed no such change. Same duration, same frequency, different type of exercise, completely different result for the brain. Let that land for a moment. The Illinois study. Researchers at the University of Illinois followed over 100 older adults and measured their fitness levels alongside their hippocampal volume. The finding was consistent and striking. Higher aerobic fitness directly predicted larger hippocampal volume. Not marginally larger, significantly larger. The fittest participants had hippocampi that were 2 years younger in volume than the least fit participants. 2 years of brain aging reversed by fitness level alone. The BDNF connection. A study published in the journal Neuroscience measured BDNF levels in older adults before and after different intensities of walking. The finding was specific. BDNF surged significantly at moderate to brisk intensity. At a gentle stroll, the pace most people default to,
The BDNF response was minimal. Does this sound like the walking you are currently doing? That is the question that matters. Not whether you are walking at the right intensity to trigger the brain response you need. Here is what most people get wrong, and I want to be specific because the gap between what works and what does not is smaller than people think, but the difference in brain benefit is enormous. Wrong thing 1. The pace. Most people over 60 walk at a comfortable pace, relaxed, conversational. They can talk easily while walking and feel no particular effort. That pace does not trigger meaningful BDNF release. The pace that triggers it is what researchers call moderate intensity. You should be able to speak in short sentences, but not carry on a full comfortable conversation without pausing to breathe. Slightly breathless, slightly warm, aware that you are working. Not sprinting, not power walking to the point of discomfort. Brisk, purposeful, like you are 5 minutes late for an appointment you care about. That specific pace, sustained consistently, is what triggers the BDNF surge. The comfortable stroll does not. Wrong thing 2. The duration. 10 minutes sounds too short to most people. They assume longer must be better. And for general health and cardiovascular fitness, yes, longer is generally better. But for the specific BDNF response and hippocampal stimulus, the research is consistent. 10 minutes of brisk walking, done at the right intensity, produces a meaningful neurological response. Not as much as 30 minutes, but significantly more than a 30-minute gentle stroll. The minimum effective dose for the brain benefit is 10 minutes at the right pace, not 60 minutes at the wrong one. This matters enormously for people who feel they do not have time or energy for long walks. 10 minutes, done right, is a genuine intervention for your brain. Wrong thing 3. The timing. This one surprises people most. The time of day you walk affects the brain benefit. Cortisol, the stress hormone, peaks naturally in the first 2 hours after waking. Morning is when your cortisol is highest. Morning aerobic exercise burns through that cortisol peak more efficiently than the same exercise done in the afternoon. Less residual cortisol means less hippocampal damage throughout the day. The walk does double duty. It triggers BDNF to grow the hippocampus while simultaneously clearing the cortisol that would otherwise shrink it. Morning, before 10 a.m., if at all possible. If morning is genuinely impossible, afternoon is still beneficial. But the morning window is the one with the strongest evidence for combined brain benefit. Wrong thing 4. Doing it alone in silence. This is the subtlest one and the most underestimated. Research consistently shows that the cognitive benefit of exercise is amplified when the exercise is combined with novel sensory input. New routes, new environments, new things to notice and process. A treadmill walk, same view, same speed, same experience, produces less cognitive stimulation than a walk outside on a varied route. Not dramatically less, but measurably less. Your brain is not just a passenger during the walk. It is being exercised too. Give it something to process. Let me ask you something. Where do you currently walk? Do you take the same route every time? Could you change it tomorrow? Let me give you the exact protocol, specific enough that you can start tomorrow morning. The pace test. Before your walk, check this. Start walking at your normal pace. Now increase until you can speak in short sentences but not comfortably hold a full conversation. 3 to 4 words at a time before you need a breath. That is your target intensity. If you can sing, you are going too slowly. If you cannot speak at all, you are going too hard. Right in between. That is the BDNF zone, the minimum effective dose. 10 minutes at that pace. That is the floor. Not a gentle warm-up followed by 10 minutes of effort. 10 consecutive minutes of brisk, purposeful walking at target intensity. If you can do 20 or 30 minutes, do it. More is better. but 10 is the minimum that produces a meaningful neurological response. If 10 minutes is all you have, 10 minutes done correctly is worth more than 30 minutes done gently. The timing. Within 2 hours of waking, before breakfast if possible, research suggests fasted morning aerobic exercise may amplify the BDNF response further, though this matters less than simply doing it in the morning window. The route. Outside, if at all possible. Varied terrain. Different directions on different days. New streets occasionally. Your brain processes the environment as you walk. Novel environments demand more processing, which adds cognitive stimulus to the physical stimulus. If weather makes outside impossible, a treadmill is fine, but add something to process. A podcast, an audiobook in a new language, something that engages your brain at the same time as your body. The frequency. 5 days a week is the target that appears most consistently in the research. 3 days a week produces measurable benefit. 2 days a week, some benefit, but less consistent hippocampal response. 5 days, 10 to 30 minutes. Brisk pace, morning, outside. That is the complete protocol. I want to tell you about a woman named Barbara, 64 years old, retired teacher. She had been walking every morning for 3 years. Same route, same pace, about 40 minutes. She felt virtuous about it. She should have, she was consistent and committed, but her memory had been declining despite the walking. She could not understand why. She was doing everything right. When she came to me, I asked her one question. Can you talk comfortably the whole time you walk? She said yes, easily. That was the answer. She was walking, but she was not triggering BDNF. She was getting cardiovascular benefit, but the hippocampal stimulus she needed, the specific intensity that grows the memory center back, was not happening. We changed 2 things, the pace and the timing. She moved her walk to the morning and increased her speed until she could speak in short bursts but not comfortably. Same duration, same commitment, different result. At 3 months, her word finding had improved. At 6 months, her recall was noticeably sharper. She came back and said something I have heard before but never tire of hearing. She said, "I feel like myself again." That is BDNF. That is a hippocampus being given what it needs after years of not getting it. Here is the timeline you can expect. 2 to 4 weeks, mood improvement and mental clarity. BDNF begins influencing neurotransmitter levels almost immediately. You will feel the difference before you measure it. 6 to 8 weeks, measurable improvements in memory and processing speed. This is where most people notice the fog lifting. Not completely, but unmistakably. 6 months. Studies show measurable hippocampal volume increase at this point. The memory center is physically larger, visible on a brain scan. That is not a supplement. That is not a medication. That is a 10-minute morning walk done at the right pace. 3 mistakes that undo the benefit. I want to name them specifically so you avoid them. Mistake 1. Stopping when it gets slightly uncomfortable. The slight breathlessness at brisk pace feels wrong to many people over 60. They slow down. They have been told their whole lives to listen to their body, and their body says slow down. In this case, slight breathlessness is not a warning. It is the signal that the right intensity has been reached. The discomfort is the point. Not pain, discomfort. There is a significant difference. If you have any cardiac history or respiratory condition, discuss intensity targets with your doctor first. But for most healthy over 60s, slight breathlessness at brisk walking pace is the target, not a reason to stop. Mistake 2. Skipping the morning window on difficult days. The days when getting outside feels hardest, cold mornings, low mood, poor sleep the night before, are often the days the walk matters most. Cortisol is highest after difficult nights. BDNF is most needed when mood is lowest. The walk on the hard day does more work than the walk on the easy day. Build the habit so firmly that it does not require a decision. It simply happens, like brushing your teeth. Mistake 3. Treating it as one thing you do for your brain. The walk works best when it is part of a pattern. Consistent sleep, reduced stress, adequate hydration, anti-inflammatory food. The hippocampus responds to the cumulative environment you create. The walk is the most powerful single element, but it works in a system. Let me bring it together clearly. 1. The pace. Brisk enough that you can speak in short sentences but not hold a comfortable conversation. That is the BDNF zone. That is the pace that grows the hippocampus. 2. The duration. 10 minutes minimum.
30 is better, but 10 done correctly beats 30 done gently every single time.
3. The timing. Morning, before 10 a.m., burns the cortisol peak and triggers BDNF simultaneously. Double brain benefit from the same walk. 4. The route. Outside, varied, different directions. Give your brain something to process while your body works. 5. The frequency. 5 days a week, 3 at minimum. Consistency over duration. Tomorrow morning, not next week, tomorrow. Set your alarm 10 minutes earlier than usual. Put your shoes by the door tonight. Remove every decision that could become an excuse. Barbara did this. 3 changes to a walk she was already taking. Same commitment, same time. Completely different result for her brain. You are probably already walking. You are probably already most of the way there. You just needed to know what to change. Here is what stays with me about this. The walk that grows the hippocampus back is not a new thing. It is not a discovery waiting in a research lab somewhere. The evidence has been building for 20 years. And yet most people walking every day, faithfully, consistently, are missing the specific ingredient that makes it work for the brain. Not because they are lazy or careless, because nobody told them. The pace, the timing, the intensity. 3 details, enormous difference. If this video gave you something useful, please share it. Think of someone in your life who walks every day and believes they are doing everything right for their brain. Because they are doing almost everything right, they just need these 3 details. Send this to them. That share costs 30 seconds. The brain benefit on the other end lasts years. Take care of that brain. It can grow back. It can get stronger. It is waiting for the right signal. Give it the signal tomorrow morning. Everything in this video is based on published, peer-reviewed research and is for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice. If you have a cardiac condition, respiratory condition, or any health concern that affects exercise intensity, please speak to your doctor before changing your exercise routine. That conversation is always worth having.